Oh dear. Hello, welcome back to 1874. I'm your host, Dan Bardell, here for a match reaction show straight after Villa's defeat 2-1 against Go Ahead Eagles. This show is sponsored by Match Bingo. If you head to 1874.io/matchbingo, or if you're watching via YouTube Live now, scan the QR code. You'll be able to see what they're all about, and you'll be able to buy yourself some bingo cards around all the sport and football that is happening at the moment. Right then, people starting to come into the stream. Poor, bad, not a good night for Villa. A little bit reminiscent of the Brugge game last season in the group stage when Tyrone Mings famously picked up the ball. Just a poor defeat away from home in European competition. I think in the grand scheme of things, where the Europa League is concerned, doesn't massively matter, because I would still expect us to finish top 8. But in terms of it kind of denting our momentum and denting our confidence, I'm hoping that's not a thing heading into Sunday against Manchester City, which is obviously a huge game, and we've been on a great run. So the 5 wins in a row comes to an end. Villa don't make it 6, but really some bad. I guess we saw the bad side of Villa tonight, didn't we? I think he made changes. He made lots of changes. Jacob and I speculated in the preview show that you probably would do that. He needed to get some minutes into people. Felt like, we've won our first 2 Europa League games. This is a chance to drill some minutes into people. You could tell in some respects that players hadn't played much football. I thought Lindelof struggled at right back, if I'm being honest. I thought in front of him, even though he scored, Cassano has had minutes into him this season. Really, really wasteful. Really, really poor. Should have scored another goal. I'm not even convinced he was trying to score the goal that he did score. Watkins is low on confidence. Should have scored. I saw someone say in the chat that I'd make excuses for him. I won't. 1 goal so far this season. Getting to the end of October isn't good enough, and he's missed a presentable opportunity tonight. We started the game pretty well, didn't we? We could have been 3-0 up. We didn't go 3-0 up. It stayed at 1-0, and Go Ahead Eagles, of course, have got that critical goal from a set piece just on half time. Unfortunate with the deflection, but the way that they found the guy so easily was a little bit alarming. And then in the second half, just a long diagonal really has caused us problems. It's a nice finish, but really the 2 shots that went on target tonight, or the 2 shots at goal really even, have both ended up in the back of the net. So even with that team that we put out resting people, and we've had to bring people into the game, of course, who we probably wouldn't have wanted to, should have enough to go Ahead Eagles and at least get a draw. Never mind, win the game. Let's not go there and get beat. And it's exactly what we've gone. Of course, it's all compounded as well by penalty. Only football club in the world that hasn't got a penalty taker. Absolutely staggering. I'd never fancied him, if I'm being honest. The way he ran up didn't really connect greatly with it, has ballooned it into the crowd. And Villa's dismal record from the spot goes on. I mean, since Douglas Luiz missed that penalty against Olympiacos, we must have missed more than we've scored. I haven't had a look, but I was speaking to Rollo on WhatsApp before I came on here. I think there's so many misses since that Luiz Olympiacos penalty. Tillemans against Crystal Palace in the league. Watkins against Celtic. Asensio missed 2 against Club Brugge. Watkins missed 1 earlier on in the season. I'm sure there's other misses in there as well from Villa players from the spot. Rashford and Duran were fairly reliable. It must be something about the number 9 shirt, really. And, talking to number 9s, Harvey Elliott sat on the bench for 90 minutes again today. Penny for his thoughts at the moment, because it's not good. I know Jacob did a piece that was released about him today on The Athletic, but it's not good. That wasn't a good night. I didn't enjoy it. I'm sure no one else did either. Feel sorry for the 500 or so that made the trip. I'm sure they've had a lovely few days leading up to it, but stood there in the rain watching us toil and struggle against a team that, with all due respect to them, we should be beating, is annoying. And I'm sure everyone else is as annoyed and frustrated as me. Just looking through the chat now, I've given my kind of 4-minute summary of the game here. We've got Paul Butler, who says we are way too complacent when playing so-called little teams. Not good enough. Yep, would agree with that, Paul. Bicycle Source says, had the worst day at work I've had all year. Got some awful personal news earlier today about illness in the family, and it just felt as though Villa are toying with my emotions to top it off. Abysmal. My thoughts go out to you, Bicycle Source. Hopefully things have picked up this evening away from Villa. Sorry to hear about the illness in the family, and you can always rely on Villa when things are going badly to kind of pile it on. But I hope you're okay. And in the grand scheme of things, with what you've got going on, I would probably say that I wouldn't dwell too much on Villa. It's not what's important when there's an illness in the family, and hopefully bad days at work can happen. Hopefully, I hope tomorrow is better for your sake, but best wishes to you. Bicycle Source. James Wilson says, this is what happens when you don't take your chances. Had enough to win this game 3 times over. We did, and one thing I would say as well is that actually 2 things I would say. Jadon Sancho I thought was good tonight in the left 10 role. He put in some wicked crosses from that left-hand side. I do think that left 10 role under Emery is built for someone with his skill set, and moving forward maybe we're going to see more of that. But I thought he was good, tried to make things happen, and considering he hasn't played much football over the last 4 or 5 months, I thought he gave a good account of himself. The amount of times we'll flash a ball across the goal or put a good cross in and no one threw themselves at it. There was one in the second half that I couldn't believe Watkins didn't try and get on the end of. And even at the end there, you thought Rodgers did well when he came on as well. In fairness, he's put one across the goal. Someone just throw yourself at it. You might get something on it. The defender might be under pressure a bit more if you're making a move, and he puts it in. There was chances in that game, like you say, James, to win that game 3 times over, but we haven't done it. Andy Mack says, what a stinky performance. Yep, I would go along with that. It's just, like I say, we started the game off pretty well, didn't we? It didn't look like it was going to be a difficult night at all, and we've managed to, in vintage Villa style, to turn it into a bad night. The Sandman Boxing says, absolute nonsense of a performance, Dan. Why is Buendia going for the top corner in a hurricane? Not sure, because he took a penalty against Brentford, didn't he, in the Carabao Cup in the shootout, where we missed a couple in there as well to add to our penalty was, and he took a nice, calm, composed penalty. He's on form, so to try that technique in the wind, a little bit strange. I mean, I'm no penalty expert myself. People may have seen me miss penalties in the past, but yeah, just didn't ever look like he was going to score. I suddenly, just every time we get a penalty, don't fancy us. That's something that's starting to occur in my mind, certainly. Craig Francis says, is this an Unai problem now, just not getting over the line in these kind of games? Probably is some form of pattern in this type of game. It's away from home. It's against a team that's got Eagles in the name, the team that's known as the Eagles. So we probably all should have known before the start of the night that there's a chance of a bad result, because every time Villa go away to the Eagles at Selhurst Park, they struggle. So we probably should have known that tonight might not go as planned, given that it was go-ahead Eagles. Paul Temper says, how can you say that you still expect us to finish top 8 with that performance? That's proved just how poor we really are. Well, yeah, but you can't forget the 5 wins in a row we've just had, and also that we did win our first 2 Europa League games. They're arguably that's an easier tie than the other 2 games that we've faced as well. We've had a bad night at the office, but I still think you've won 2 from 3 games. You've got a pretty decent chance of finishing in the top 8. I would suggest. I don't think it's as ridiculous as maybe Paul thinks I'm being there. I would think. David Stiles, always the voice of reason, says, no need to panic. That was a duff game. It happens. Tough conditions. Wasteful in front of goal. Not the end of the world. We move. I think tomorrow when I wake up, I'll probably feel a little bit more reasoned like that. But, you've got to go there and put up a better account of yourself, in my opinion. There was a few alarming things in that. I do think whenever you make that volume of changes, though, you're capable of seeing a performance like that. And I would say, we've seen it. It's not an excuse. I think, that team should have enough to go there and do something still. But you do quite often with other teams as well, not just Villa. When you have a high volume of changes, it does quite often look fractured and disjointed. And I do think that's what's happened to Villa tonight. They frustrated us in the end, but annoying because we did pick them off and we did open them up in the first kind of 15-20 minutes. We just didn't take our chances. So the game was there in the second half when teams sit really, really deep. That does seem to be a problem for us. Dougie Allison says, Sancho best player on the park, takes him off. Watkins not interested, and the rest of the poor disgraceful performance against a pub team. I mean, they did win the Dutch Cup last year, so they've obviously got something about them. But yeah, as I keep saying, I expect Villa at this level to go and do a job away from home. Bernard Ball said, did their keeper make a worthwhile save after we went behind? He claimed a cross, from what I remember. Rodgers has obviously curled one just wide. We didn't make enough happen once we went 2-1 down. Probably didn't make enough happen once it got to 1-1 in fairness. Bard Scherf's journey to zero says £30 million budget for the whole club. Villa uses more than that for the players' lunch. It shows attitude and application. Maybe you can level that at Villa tonight. Their team's worked harder the Nars, they've put the application in. I don't think Villa went there and kind of just were going through the motions. I don't think that at all. We always just look devoid of ideas at the end. But, sometimes a team can come and play against you and they'll play to their absolute maximum. And, Go Ahead Eagles have put in a lot tonight and they've won the game. Sean O'Connor starting to be a big problem up front now. Watkins not even making runs now. Bardell trying to play him in the first half and wouldn't move, worrying. He's not there. Look, I'm his biggest fan. Everyone will know that. But Ollie Watkins is not there at the moment. He's been kind of played into, trying to be played into form. You would have probably expected that tonight might have been a night for him to get a couple of goals and get some confidence back. But as I said at the top end of the show, you're the 23rd of October and your centre forward's got one goal. I think he offers a lot to the team still, and I think there was a couple of bits of hold-up play tonight, but one goal, 23rd of October, isn't there. We haven't got anyone else to play there, would be the other thing that I would say, is that I'd rather him playing, as he is at the moment, was playing as our number 9 than anyone else, because I don't think there's another genuine number 9 at the club. I think Marlon, when he played on his own up top against Tottenham, I think he struggled. I mean, I don't think we're going to go back to that against City, the Marlon playing off Watkins, but that was the best he's looked, was when he had someone playing close to him. He didn't get the goals that day, but he had a good game. It was Marlon that got the goals. I don't see that we're going to set up like that against City. You'd imagine it's probably going to be Rodgers, McGinn and one other playing off Ollie, so it probably won't be Marlon. It'll probably be Buendia, in all honesty. So, yeah, I'm not sure. He needs to get back to goal-scoring ways, though, Ollie, because he's not going to hit the numbers that he usually gets if he doesn't start scoring soon. And I didn't expect that we'd get to this date, 23rd of October, as I keep saying, and he only had one goal. As much as I want to come on here and defend him and support him, and I do continue to support him because I still think he's a great number 9 for Villa, off it, not happening, wasn't happening for him tonight. Would I have liked to have seen him left on for 90 minutes when he's your only centre forward and you're kind of losing the game 2-1? Absolutely. I think maybe we'd have had more of a chance with him playing up top. I'm not saying he was brilliant or anything, but I think, if maybe some of the minutes management was planned pre-game is the only thing I can think of. But when you lose it, you want your centre forward on the pitch, surely. And even if he's off form, he's still probably the most likely to pop up with a goal. So, yeah, it's a worrying time at the moment around Watkins. I do feel worried about it right now. Danny Hoxton said, positive note, Rodgers does look himself again. Yeah, blameless tonight. Morgan Rodgers did everything he could when he came onto the pitch. Unlucky not to score, unlucky not to get an assist when no one wanted to throw themselves at his cross. So well done to him for coming on. He's blameless in this. Somebody that's not blameless, according to Grant Bowcott, is Unai, 100% at fault for saying the City game is the priority. I didn't see the pre-match, so I assume, I'm pretty sure Grant won't be lying, and that Unai did say that, but you could tell by the team selection it wasn't a priority, and it doesn't need Unai to say it. He'll look at the fact that we've won those first 2 games and decided, on the balance of things, that even though they've lost tonight, I'm pretty sure he'll be happy with his decision and what he did team selection wise, and I'm pretty sure he'd do it again if he got the chance. So if you're back, if you recover on Sunday and you beat Manchester City, everyone forgets about what's happened tonight. And out the 2 games in the grand scheme of things, the City game is bigger, because, as I keep saying, I think we will get top 8 regardless of losing this game tonight. It's important, that we take on City and get 3 points. But I do wonder, getting a defeat, you're in the 5 wins in a row mentality before that. That's gone now. Does it affect confidence? I don't know. You'd have to ask the players. That would be my only concern around that. But Jacob and I spoke about it pre-game. I understand why he's picked the team that he's picked tonight. I've not got any grievance with it. I'm sure other people will, but I've not got any grievance with the team selection tonight, because I think if it was me, I'd have done a similar thing. Maybe not completely the way Unai did it, but I'd have made changes as well. So I completely get it. Hello, Kevin van der Plum, sending me some Dutch flags. Thank you very much for the Dutch flag emojis. I'm sure you're a Go Ahead Eagles fan and are absolutely delighted with how this evening's gone. So well done to you. Fair play. No qualms from me. No, I'm not going to go out there hammering the Go Ahead Eagles fans. Well done to you. You've won. You deserve to win. Credit to you. Just really in the chat, it's It's players getting a little bit of grief. Neil C says Concert and McGinn not playing means Villa have no composure or leaders. There's enough leaders and composure on that pitch for me that, I wouldn't have played Concert tonight. I wouldn't have played McGinn tonight. I wouldn't have played Rodgers. No, they're exactly the same people being left out that Unai has left out that I would have left out. You've got Pau Torres on there. You've got players that Manana's a £50 million midfielder, and I actually thought he did okay. In all honesty, he's just I find him quite frustrating generally to watch. But I thought he did okay. Was nowhere near our worst players tonight. But there's enough senior players in there who've played enough games of football to be able to go there and get a job done. So I just don't think there's any point making excuses for anyone tonight, the manager or the players. I think you just accept it, you take it on the chin, and you move on to Sunday and hope that we can get it going again quickly, because we'll need to. Because if we don't, Manchester City will absolutely pummel us. Hello, Cyberdon Blue, my old friend. Great to see you in the chat, watching live. Hope you're keeping well and that you're healthy. Cyberdon Blue says, how in God's name does Gasson keep getting selected? He couldn't hit a cow's ass with a banjo. How many sitters did he miss tonight? We spoke about him a few weeks ago, didn't we, on the channel? And Dave Reid was saying that he's seeing something. I still haven't seen it. I've got to be honest. His clips in his Nice, wasn't he? He played for in Ligue 1. His clip was it Nice? I might have got that wrong. Can't remember. Anyway, his clips from Ligue 1 in France looked a very accomplished footballer. I was very, very excited for him. It is early days. I'm not going to write him off, but yeah, I'm not seeing it as yet. Works very hard, never hides, never shirks responsibility, but on the ball, geez, come on, Gasson. And his goal was just so bizarre as well. Was he trying to put a tackle in? Was he trying to control it? I'm not sure, but that definitely wasn't a shot. I get some eagle emojis in the chat, so I don't know what that means. Someone can translate for me. Coet Eclos. I'm assuming that means go Eagles. I'm going to guess that's my Dutch translation there. So yeah, again, same as I said to the other guy. Well done, go ahead Eagles. Absolutely no grief from me. No qualms with people coming in and watching. Coet Eclos. So yeah, I've probably not pronounced that right. JK has lost all hope with that. Yeah, look, everyone's entitled to feel what they feel after a football match. Even just doing this show sometimes makes me feel a little bit better. I don't know why, but I feel a little bit better about it, just coming on and seeing what people are saying and just kind of unloading. That's what I like to do on these post-match shows. I might have to cut my unloading down because I know Dan Rollington on Claret and Blue is looking to start soon, and he probably won't start until I finished him and Matt Kendrick. So when I've finished and I'll finish when I want to, by the way, Dan Rollington. When I've finished, I guess hop over there if you want to hear more people be miserable. I imagine they'll be more miserable than me. I don't know. I don't know whether I'm actually seen as quite positive. I probably am. Rollo likes a moan. He does like a moan, doesn't he? Calvin Hill says, go ahead Eagles, deserve to win. Come on, Dan. We dominated possession, created chances and missed a penalty. AV not good enough, but I'm not having they deserve to win. Mate, they did the best with what they had. They took their 2 chances. Villa did not take their chances. They defended when they needed to, were resolute, organised, compact, didn't come out their shape. When they went 2-1 up, remained disciplined and saw the game out. Villa were wasteful. Villa took the game for granted. In all those regards that I've just said, I would say they deserved it. That's fine. I don't have any problem with saying that we did not do enough. So if you're not clinical enough in front of goal, then you're going to get punished. And we got punished, and they deserved it. They took their chances, defended well, all those things that I just said. Ravin the Kunju Raman says, painful watch. Go ahead Eagles deserve to win this one. Players who came in for AV did not do justice to their selection, and that's a very good point as well. Anyone that's maybe sitting on the bench at the moment thinking that they should be in the team, you come into the team, you've got to kind of show that you're willing to do everything for the shirt, and it didn't look like that. Didn't look like that tonight. Some may be going through the motions a little bit. It is what it is. It's gone now. Like I said, I'm not gonna lose any sleep over it. I'm not gonna dwell on it. It's we've lost. It's one of them. AVFC 85 says Villa clearly deserved to win. No excuses for not winning, but by every metric you can measure how well a team played, other than the scoreline, Villa were miles better. Yep. But he also says, however, it's the scoreline that decides games. Absolutely, would agree with that. Look, I'm not saying that we got battered by Go Ahead Eagles or they dominated possession or anything along those lines, but they took their chances and they did what they needed to do and did enough to win the game, clearly, because that's what they did. The Elliott one is probably the biggest thing to come out of tonight for me. Like, not even getting on the pitch. You've had 5 subs, and he's not even getting on the pitch. I know they're playing different positions, but Sancho's been absent for the last kind of few weeks, and then he's getting a start from nowhere. Like, I know he's biding his time with Harvey Elliott, but I don't know. There's something not quite adding up at the moment. Is there? I've heard murmurs that kind of he obviously wasn't Emery's first choice, and he wanted someone else, but Emery must have okayed the signing. Like, and I'm sure Harvey Elliott didn't come here thinking he was going to be sat on the bench. You know, Jacob's article spoke about how positive he is, and willing to bide his time and work his way into the team and stuff like that's absolutely great. But not even coming on. He's at 4 in a row or 3 in a row now where he's not even come on. That doesn't add up. Doesn't add up to me. I'm not trying to scaremonger or spread rumours or anything like that, but something doesn't add up when you've just brought in a player from Liverpool who was getting minutes for Liverpool as well, coming off their bench at the very least. I'm sure if he could, have his time again, Elliott, I'm sure he'd be happier coming off Liverpool's bench than sitting on Villa's bench for 90 minutes. He's going to come in and play at some point. I'm sure he's not going to sit on the bench for the rest of the season or till January, is he? But to not even get on tonight when you're chasing the game as well, and you're a creative number 10 that's going to sign for big money if you play 10 games, and you've played for Liverpool and you've starred in the England under 21s. If it's an adaptation thing, I know he's a different type of player. But I'm watching Gasson trying to adapt to things on the pitch, and it's pretty tough watching at certain points. As I say, Elliott's never going to be a player that's going to hug the line, although I'm not convinced that's actually Gasson's game either, in fairness. But, watching him be able to kind of play his way into adapting to what Villa want and what Unai want, I'm not sure Elliott's going to be worse than that. That's just me being honest. So I'm going to go now. I'm not going to stay for too long. We've done 22 minutes there. There'll be some more shows on the channel tomorrow. Of course, the Stato preview for the Manchester City game will come out, and I'll be previewing with Dave Reed as well. Probably won't bring both out on the same day, in all honesty, because that seems to affect views. So I did that yesterday and it didn't really work, so I'm not going to do it again. Thank you to those that have joined me live. Over 200 of you on at the moment on YouTube, so thank you to that, because without you guys, there's no show. I need someone to speak to when I'm sat here on my own. So thank you for all your contributions. I think I've actually read out quite a lot there, to be fair, that people have sent in. So thank you very much. And if you are watching right now, or watching back right now, or listening right now even, subscribe with your post notifications on, please. If you're not subscribed with your post notifications on, why not? Please do it. It really helps. We want to get those subscriber numbers up on the road to 30,000 subscribers. So let's try and get there as soon as possible. So thank you very much. If you listen via audio, listen back via audio, if you could do all the normal things that I bang on about every week, comments and reviews being the main one, and 5 stars if you can, that would be absolutely great. Watch out for the content tomorrow. As I say, more content on the channel. Go and watch the rest of the football that's on tonight. Try and enjoy your night. I'm not going to dwell on that too much, I don't think. So let's go. Well done to Go Ahead Eagles. Not well done to Aston Villa. And as always, it's an up